Oh, I was going to say I made it. I made it here at 1 o'clock for the first time ever streaming. Turns out this camera needs a reset up real fast. So don't mind me. Just going to add that back in real fast. Going to grab this working one. Copy that. Move it over here. You're seeing a little behind the scenes. Everything's fine. Welcome in, Tony Sprocket. Just, getting stuff working. I think OBS crashed with my camera. Not quite sure why, but just re-adding the camera seems to have worked. Still got the advertisements on. Okay. I mean, I think that's probably fine. I wasn't actually sure how to turn them on or turn them off, so I'll dig in it after this, but they're probably fine. It shouldn't be running them every hour or so. It might just be the when you join default ones for Twitch. But welcome in. I think everything is set up now. I probably sound fine. Hopefully. Alright, things look good. I mostly working on UI this week. Stuck in that UI jail. I started redoing the inventory UI. It looks so much better. But I also started on item tooltips, and I'm fighting with content size fitters and layout groups and layout elements and everything. So we're going to be stuck in jail working on that. But luckily I did add a little channel point redeem to play a match of Overwatch. If anybody wants to let me out of jail. Wink wink. But let's jump on over. Let's see where we're at. I am in the middle of working on this tooltip right now, so nothing works. I think I'm just going to stash these changes and start over instead of trying to start in the middle of a bunch of broken stuff on stream because it's not working anyway. But let me show you what I'm trying to set up. We've got this tooltip for items. We've got different item types in the game. And each of those item types, we want to have a slightly different tooltip because equipment is going to have stats. Consumables aren't. They're going to have a effect and a duration. Materials have none of that. Tools have durabilities. Lots of just slightly different stuff, but all of them have a name type description. What I'm shooting for is a tooltip that expands vertically. We've got our common stuff, so we've got our item name, our item type, and our description of this item here. And then we will have this guy expand downward as needed. And we'll put anything specific to that item type down sandwiched in here. So equipment stats and consumable stuff. And then down at the bottom we'll get back to those common metadata things like how much it sells for and how much it weighs and all that jazz. But the idea is that we can get stuff populating in this tooltip and it expands. However, you can see, let me get rid of some of these. We've got a stack set up here. So it's got some dimensions. I added some more stuff to it to make it even bigger. But if I turn on content size fitting on our tooltip, it doesn't actually expand to the height of the child element that it should be expanding to. So I'm going to read up on how these content size fitters work. I don't actually know how they're different from layout elements. Maybe the horizontal layout group or either of the layout groups we're using are causing an issue, but we're gonna read some stuff, we're gonna learn some stuff, and then we're gonna probably start over here. Let's see if I can find Chrome window. Let's see what we got. Let's just, because it could also be the text mesh pros aren't scaling things correctly. There's a lot of different stuff that it could be. So I think the best thing to do is to probably start a lot smaller, make sure it's working, and kind of build up rather than throw everything in as we've done and try and fix a million different things at once. But content size fitters. Welcome to the cozy stream, by the way. While I read, let me throw on some music of some sort. Maybe in the background. What do we got? Put on some headphones too and jam. Cool. All right, so content size fitters. It controls the size of its own element. That's what we want. We want it based on the child elements, though. Okay, well this is one bug we saw. So as this gets bigger, this guy, it's expanding around this pivot point, which is in the center. We actually want to set our pivot point up here. And then if we can get this to recalculate, perchance. We want it, expanding downwards like this, and that's how this will know what height to draw to. So this guy, where did our, okay. These are all coming to the right size, minus this icon. So this scales correctly. This has the right height. We just need this height to apply to the parent. Preferred size. Does it work? No, it doesn't. Min size is 0. Okay. So really the thing we're not figuring out is this has dimensions. Why does a content size fitter on this not go to these dimensions? It goes this is 290. This sets it to 256. Height. But, I mean, at least we got this bug fixed. Like, there's a lot of stuff to fix here. We're just going to have to carve away at it, I think. basically what we have. We don't want min size there. You know, that's a fair point. We might be able to do away with some of these layout groups if we have these content size fitters actually working. Because this, if we were to make this longer, we want to make sure that these dimensions get larger as well. So let's double check that. Wonder if we have like a auto size on TextMesh Pro. I can write some good code, but when it comes to all these UI components, I'm learning. I mean, I guess we could add can we add like a content size fitter to this? I think it said that it works on text components. So this guy, yeah, the parent does have a vertical layout group, but it's fine. Okay, that'll work. We don't want auto size though. So let's do like 20 on this. Some real weird heights going on here. Height of 0. Wow. Also height of 0. I wonder if it's pulling the height from the parent or the child. I think we gotta go read more. Vertical layout group, vertical layout group. Don't know what geo is. Oh, game object probably. Okay, so they're dynamically adding these child game objects, which is why they need the vertical layout group. We will need that for like affixes, I think, because we have a dynamic amount, but we don't need to worry about that yet. Explain like I'm 5. What does stuck in UI design jail mean? It means I have a very, very simple thing that I want to do in this UI, and I do not know how to do it, and I am just trying a bunch of different things until something works. But basically, all I want to do is, let me get rid of all this garbage even letting me show you what I want to do. So I have text on this tooltip, and this text will get longer and longer, or shorter, who knows? One of those two. And all I want is this tooltip parent thing to also have the same height as all the stuff inside of it. But apparently that is impossible to do. So we're figuring out how to make it possible. Room background is very cute. Thank you. I had the giant bug up on the shelf, but it fell down, and I don't want it falling down again. So it is now gone, and we've got a nice empty shelf full of little critters, and I'm glad it looks cute. Classic Tableau issue as well. Yeah, I mean, it luckily isn't really an issue in like web development, so that has always been done for me before, but unfortunately that means I don't really know the solution here. But we are working from the bottom up to try and get stuff working. And if it doesn't work quick, I will delete it all and we will start over from scratch. But first, I just want to learn what these components do. The things that are supposed to resize each element. I'm not really clear. Like if I add this content size fitter to our container here, I'm unsure if it's actually resizing based on the content inside of it or if it's resizing based on something else. So I'm just reading. If it doesn't work, couldn't you set a character limit for the text? I could, but the thing is, I'm trying to get this work for like a lot of different reasons. We've got this text here, but we're also adding a lot more text that all needs displayed, and some types of objects have other stuff we're displaying as well. So I'm just trying to get this to scale to show all the stuff that we actually need to show. We shall see. Now what the heck is content size fitter? Controls the size of whatever you added it to. Determined by the minimum or preferred sizes provided by other layout elements on the same object that you add it to. I see. So we would want it on like these guys, which we've done. Content size fitter, this now works. So if we add more lines, it does get bigger. Okay, good. That works. This guy, does this get bigger? We need to set our pivot as we saw so it expands top down. But now, preferred size 0. Interesting. Okay. So I don't think it does what I think it does. Maybe this is where we use like a layout element. Preferred height of, well, really whatever the contents are. Flexible height, maybe? If you want to override the size of a layout element, okay. Apply layout element to each child. Taking the preferred height box. Enter a sensible value. Okay. Now all your buttons will reach the width. We'll still expand vertically to fill the panel and fix their heights. Don't think this is actually relevant because this is within a layout group, which we're not using. But we could use. Please help. Add a content size fitter component. Beware that only elements that are part of a layout or have a layout element component will be counted. Okay. So this guy will only look at none of these have layout components. So what if we add some? Right, layout element? Yeah, that's it. Preferred height. So will that resize correctly? No, it will not. Okay. Flexible height. Okay, that's resizing. And it has a layout element. So maybe now this guy will also resize to a preferred size. Nope, height 0. Alrighty. We are getting closer though because we know what doesn't work. I mean, I guess I could like go through code and count the number of lines and then calculate the pixel values of what the height should be and set it manually. But it'd be real nice if I could just use Unity's layout as intended to scale things. Seems like something that should be pretty straightforward. Can only seem to find parents scaling to children on the other way around. Well, that's not what we want. Fit size of parent to size of child's. Perfect. Lots of objects as children. More children are added. That's what we're doing. I want the parent to fit the size to its children. Correct. Every time I came across content size fitter, which unfortunately does not work for me because it needs a layout group. Interesting. Because the children do not have an order and are wildly placed. You know, that's kind of similar. So not sized parent. Sized parent. So they have this. They're trying to scale this guy to fit values. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Well, that's not necessarily what we want to do. But it is concerning that people are just suggesting writing code instead of using layouts. I mean, we can just do it in code, I guess. This is what we want. Do we want to go down this rabbit hole though? I mean, the tooltips were kind of good enough. Or we could just do full out layout groups all the way down. The problem with doing layout groups all the way through is our background and frame. So if we put like a horizontal layout group on this guy, it's going to draw a cell for the frame. We can't like make this inset really. Could just get rid of the frame for now, but we're trying to make things look nicer. What you're asking is not possible without a script. So we don't necessarily have this bad of a problem where they're just placing stuff randomly. Maybe we do the layout group. If we can exclude an object, which I think we can do with the layout element. Ignore layout. Yeah. Okay, we can work with this. So if this guy we'll do a, let's get rid of everything on everything for now. Content size fitters. Let's keep that actually. All right, things are reset, nice and fresh. Things are about to get funky. Vertical layout group. All right. So this guy now has a layout group. Nothing sets its height. But if we also add a content size fitter, we can set a preferred height of whatever the contents are. Okay, that's fine, because now it's setting the height to our icon spacing object, which is the tallest thing, I think. Yeah. It's a little odd that it's not expanding down to that, but we'll get there. I think it's because this isn't included in the layout quite yet. So what we want to do is on this guy, set a layout element and ignore the layout so we can get our frame back. Okay, that was the big problem of why we couldn't go down this route other than just not wanting to. So now our columns container, which is left-hand side, right-hand side, this will be a horizontal layout group, which adds it to the layout. This guy, we want a width. Maybe we don't need the layout element here. So that's going to split it evenly. We want it to be a little bit less. Oh, this isn't even on. Preferred width of like, what does 0 give us? Can we do negatives? No, we cannot. Okay. Well, I can tell you that's not 0 pixels. Let's do a min width. Okay, we're getting closer. Layout priority of 0 or 1. I think it's 1. We could ignore the layout here and then give this like a left padding of 250. Has no height. Okay, we'll come back to that. Let's get this guy working first. So how do we get the dimensions we want? We could, right, we don't need to control the child sizes in order to use this. We could just set this width of 250. Let's make it more like 280. And then, so theoretically, since we're scaling the tooltip to this object, if I increase this height here, the tooltip should expand. What if I increase this height? Okay, tooltip expands on this height. Okay, so if we set this object's height based on the size of its children with a content size fitter, vertical fit preferred. Okay, we're getting there. So now this height is set dynamically based on this height, which we can make bigger or smaller. Okay, and we can't make it smaller than it needs, which is great. Okay, do we need this layout element? I don't think that we do. That's great. Let's remove it. Simplify all this. Icon is just fine. Cool. So this guy is great. Let's take him down to min height. And then let's work on this guy. So he has a bunch of stuff. We can probably bring all 3 of these up, get rid of that. Give this guy a vertical layout group to add him to the layout. Set top padding to space it. It's like 24-ish to align. So just like why don't we need a content size fitter on this? Well, we know if we increase this height, the tooltip expands. That's fine. If we increase this height, tooltip expands. Great. So now we just need to make sure that this height dynamically sets to whatever the children are. So let's expand this a bit. So we got some stuff to expand into. We'll set our content size fitter on this to set it equal to whatever the text needs. And this guy's got a width of nothing. So let's expand that back out all the way. Let's do some spacing between, just for a little bit more expanding. And so this guy needs to have its height set to its contents. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. This guy's height is now set to its contents, so if I make this shorter, it takes a second to redraw, but it does redraw correctly. We need to add a bottom padding as well. Okay, this is fine. Let's rename this to like common information. This is what we're going to show for all item types. We'll add another block below for the specific item type information for each type. And if this were really short, tooltip looks fine. Okay. I see in our scene window this is not exactly correct, but if we can at least get it correct in the prefab, calculating everything, I'll be happy with that. All right, so if we now say added a bunch more stuff, okay, it expands correctly. Cool, cool, cool. We can get rid of this guy. He was just there to stretch stuff so we could test it. Cool. So before we move on to the next chunk below, I want to take a look at why it's doing this in the game scene. And I think it's because well, I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out. Take a look at it in the scene. Have any overrides? Revert all those. Okay, we're good. We just had some overrides in the scene. Let's go back to the prefab. Things are looking great. So now let's say type specific blocks. Drag that down here. This has still got a vertical layout group, so this, if we gave it some dimensions, say let's give it an image real fast. If this is a placeholder for all the stuff that we're going to show, then this needs a content size fitter to match the contents of its children. But not part of the layout group. I wonder if I can just use layout element. No, I need to do the full-on, so this will be a vertical layout group probably, which adds it to the layout, which means that this can now calculate. Let's do a little transparent so we can see through it. So now whatever this image ends up being, this is a placeholder for the next chunk of content to show. Tooltip will expand correctly. This guy really needs to expand all the way. So we don't want this controlling the width of children, which it's not. Why are you such a small width? Oh, it wasn't. I was looking at height. Okay. Okay, so we'll take this out in a second, but before we do that, I do want to add an actual image. Let's do a separator. Add that first, and we want this guy to be, is it embellishment at, what's it called? Got it in the inventory window. Inscription. I think that's right. Yeah. And maybe we will throw that in a parent so we can center it without having to mess with the layout. Since we have the tooltip doing a layout group now, we can set all this padding around the edges and get rid of some of this placeholder stuff that I added in to get stuff looking nice. Let's... Oh, right. That had... Oh. Well, this is fine. Let's do a left and right of 22 as well. Or maybe... something like that. Let's get this guy back. So horizontal layout group, let's just spacing of about 16, sure. This guy no longer needs top padding because he'll be aligned. We're getting there. It's not perfectly aligned because TextMesh Pro doesn't go to the top. It's fine. It's good enough. We'll make it pixel perfect another time. I'm sure we'll redesign this at some point again. But now we have this back to normal. We got rid of our icon spacer. That was a little weird. We've got our frame in, our info, which expands or not. Okay, cool. This guy. Got a nice little separator between chunks. Let's do bottom padding on the common info. Little odd spacers moving around, but it's whatever, I suppose. Suspicious. I feel like if I change the layout at all, it's going to calculate back there, yeah. Okay, so this guy actually needs something to say width, layout, element. And we want to give it a width of so will this stay if I recalculate the layout? Okay, it does stay with that width now. We can work with that. All right. So let's actually get rid of a little bit of this bottom padding since it's all spacing correctly now. And a little suspicious it's not there yet again. Revert all. Okay, you're back in. Cool. So what we want to do now, let's add another one of these beneath this. This is going to be the section for like whatever information is specific about the type of item that it is, and then we'll have a little bit below that is like its value and weight and durability and stuff. Maybe we don't need that. We'll leave this for now. But let's start with, now we can start adding sections for each type of item. So we can say material, tool, consumable, equipment, and I think we have weapon as well. We haven't rolled that into tool yet, but thinking about it. Cool, so these will all be disabled by default, but whatever type of tool or type of item it is will enable their block. So let's quickly go through and do some placeholders for all of these, but we might come back to them later when we have more specific info to show. But we can say for weapons, we don't have combat in the game yet, so weapons are going to be all placeholders. Maybe we'll come back and do them another time. But we do have tools. So all these guys need to have the same sort of width set to make sure they don't collapse down, but we'll do a Probably vertical layout group. Trying to think of what all we need to show in here. I have some notes real fast. Let's see if I can find them. Oh golly. Disregard all these notes. Hope I have no API keys or anything in here. But we can do item types. Yeah. So let's see if there's anything. Tools, we've got durability. Maybe we want to show like how many recipes we've discovered on that tool. Maybe not. Maybe it has stats on it as well. So yeah, I think a vertical layout group makes a lot of sense. So let's just put some stuff in. Let's say vertical layout group. We also want a layout element to give it a min width of 680. It's not quite centered, but that's the width we're using for everything else. So we can always change that later. Not trying to be pixel perfect here, just trying to get it working. Alright, so tools are going to have container for affixes, and they're going to have durability. So let's use this as our guinea pig type. Get it working. So 50 out of 100 or something. So vertical layout group, control, children, go full width. Let's get rid of this for now. Probably want to match the text size of the description, I guess. Don't want too much variance. So it's 20. And, you know, we could probably stylize that a little bit, put it over there, because it'll be beneath all the other stuff. And we might move some of this stuff below the fold here, but we could also have value. Five. And then like weight, which we might do away with. It's not the most fun stat. But something like that. Let's get our things middle center. Upper center. Alright, so that looks good. I think the way that we do our affixes right now is one text mesh pro block, and we just format it as multiple lines. Let's double check that, but if so, it becomes pretty easy to do the affixes. Yeah. So we're just formatting them in one big block. So let's actually get rid of this, and we'll do a affixes block. And so this guy's gonna have like strength +5, dexterity +1, whatever stats as. So he's gonna have a dynamic height. We give him a content size fitter. So everything else gets pushed down. I think maybe these guys, let's make a little bit. Don't want to make them smaller font, but we can at least de-emphasize them with like more of a gray font. And we'll do these guys maybe like that. It might be fine. Let's actually, can we flip this? -1. Yeah. Cool. So we'll have our affixes. We've got some durability. Got everything we need there. Maybe at the bottom we'll do Oh, I see. This needs a dynamic height set too. Can we do that with this? Yes, okay. So now we can set a bottom padding just a little bit so we're separated from these embellishments. Might make tooltips too big, but I mean, they're kind of a core part of the game. Let's make them look nice. Alright, we don't need any spacing between these. I think we're good. So this is what tools have. Let's do consumables. Let's just copy this actually. So we'll say consumable. It's going to also have stats, things that it changes, but each one is going to have a duration as well. So we could collapse them all into one duration for the item, or we could give the duration on each thing. We don't have any items right now that have like different durations for each affix. They're all the same, but since we're generating items, we can't really guarantee that. So it might be, I think it's nicer to have some sort of display that lets us say the duration on each thing. Something like this. And maybe it's more like that. And we could always do some coloring to separate them. So if we did like kind of think this formatting is better. Let's see, harvest speed. So we could color like red stats and numbers. Let's do a lighter red. CC000. That's a good color, or a fine color at least. So if we add something like that, is that weird? I think it's a good color. Maybe a little bit more green. DF. So we have our stats normally like that, but in our consumables, we could say like 4, and then an orange, 15 seconds. And we probably also want like a little title up here that says, when consumed, and then consumables don't have a durability. You know, I think we'll just do away with weight. Let's see. The tooltip is looking nice. Do you think we should start off with a finite set of stats? I really like the idea of letting the AI generate long-form item effects too, a la PoE items, but the hard part will be interpreting how to apply those into the game. Yes. Actually, we have a finite set of stats that we are implementing now. I started on a couple weeks ago, but we've just got these, and we've got a couple more to implement. But once we start getting more systems in the game, I think we'll be able to add more stats, and way on, I think we'll be able to generate our own. But for now, we do have a hard-coded list of these are the only possible stats. Now, we did have originally, like, it could have whatever stats the AI wanted to generate on it, but now we tell the AI, here's all the stats that it can generate with, choose the relevant ones, which is working a lot better, I think, because we can give each one effects. Like, I mean, they're all hopefully pretty self-explanatory, but like belt size increases the number of items you can have on your belt. Harvest speed is how fast you harvest items. Model scale. Peripheral vision modifies your POV. Like, it's nice to have that hard-coded finite set of stats. You're right. Just a little padding on that guy. But glad you think the tooltip's looking nice. It's definitely a lot nicer than it was, I would say. I think I have a screenshot of the before I started on all this. Let me bring one up. Yeah, this is our very basic placeholder tooltip before I started redoing these tooltips, and I didn't expand at all, so if text was too long, it scaled off. It doesn't look bad, but it definitely doesn't look like you'd expect in a game that you just download and start playing. It looks very work in progress. So hopefully this is looking better. I think adding a little bit of color here on the affixes is actually helping a lot too. Let's get this guy. Well, that's fine, I think. So do we want this more like left aligned? Probably not. But if we did that, we could align these a little bit better to do something like this. And I guess that probably works. Yeah. So we could do something like this. I think that's a little more readable. We just need to calculate the length of each of these affix strings and then pad them all to the highest length, which is easy to do. I think I like that better than this. Just requires another pass, like where we format here. We'd basically need to format all of the attributes so that we could go back through and add that padding. I don't think we can do it in one pass because we won't know yet on this guy that we need this much padding to account for something like that. But that does look pretty nice. It could also do like a grid layout or something for each line, which would align it for us. Just takes layout draws instead of the string formatting. Yeah, I think we're gonna do away with weight for now. Unless we have a reason to add it back in. But this is looking good, I think. This consumable should be everything we need. Let me check my notes. Consumables, trinket, no durability, can be added to tooltip. I mean, we could add a little bit more, like can be added to your tool belt or something like tutorially, but that might be more for actual tutorials instead of game UI you're constantly showing. All right, so consumable, probably looking good. It's looking good, thank you. All right, let's move on. So we now have consumable, we have tool. Still don't necessarily like this, but we'll come back to that. We still need to do equipment, which will be a little bit more complex, I think, because we need to show those affixes, but also like what slot it goes into and some other stuff. I feel like because the bottom is center aligned, maybe add more padding to the top on the left side. Because the bottom is center aligned down here, add more padding to the top on the left side. Yeah, you're probably right, actually. You're always right. Oh yeah, and this is way too wide anyway. So what we can do, let's do an upper center. We'll adjust this, but do something like this. Upper center. Now we can kind of center this too. Let me put in a real, like, super cool item name so it doesn't feel so balanced off to the left. That way we can kind of fill up the space a little bit more and see how things are feeling. And let's fix this alignment too. Interested to see why we have this much padding on the left. Is it really from this? Looks like way more than 30 pixels. If we did this, nah. With 640 is what we'll shoot for. Let's do 630. Okay. Yeah, I think could do a little bit more padding. Things are feeling a little stretched though. It's probably just me using a bad frame though. Maybe we can find a frame that's a little less stretchy. That's fancy. We'll look for another frame another time. Alright, so let's get a quick equipment block working. Equipment, our title will be while equipped. We can get rid of all the durations on the affixes. Could add the weight back to that, but I think we're good. We don't need it. That will have durability. What are we missing on equipment? Ah, the slot that it goes in. Are there gonna be... Oh, sorry if I threw a wrench. No way. I think this looks better. I kind of centered this top bit a little bit more and filled it in. It is a little bit like right side heavy down here still. And I think adding a little padding around here might help with that. But it definitely looks a lot better after I went in and tried to get this more filled out. Maybe we can even I appreciate the suggestions. I know you're you probably do more of this layout stuff in Tableau than I do. I'm usually writing code to like look at some text and see what the actual width is and just set it. So all this dynamic resizing and rescaling is not my forte. I appreciate it. Thank you. Coffee. All right, so where are we gonna put the slot that the item equips into? The easiest thing that we could do is probably just say like in the color equals yellow head slot, but I need a little heart golem. Yeah, you're right, actually. I'll generate one of those later. You're right. I don't know when I get more emoji slots, but I feel like this guy is the guy that I'm like, I'm gonna get rid of you. I don't like you. We'll see, we'll see. Alternatively, what we could do here is have a picture of the slot picture maybe. Then I think if we do something like this, we can say layout element, ignore layout, so we can position it maybe like to the side. It's pretty dark like that. We'd probably want it. He cute, but he flustered. He reminds me of the little guy from Inside Out, the anger guy. So he's kind of cute, but he ain't a guy I'm ever gonna use. So why have him? Maybe there's like a different icon that we could use, like something a little bit more. I don't think I like that. Yeah, maybe we just put the slot in the actual title here. And it says, while equipped in that slot, you get this. There's no items that you can equip in multiple kinds of slots, so I think that's fine. So we don't need to worry about like having multiple slots here. And I don't think that will generate any. Just based on like the architecture of how we have the AI choose what slot it goes into. It only chooses one. So that makes sense. So this seems fine. And then materials. I don't think we actually need anything. So for that, we could do something like just showing off how many recipes you've discovered that this material can be used in. Or we could just show nothing. We could just show a value, I guess. That might be the only thing we need here. So something like that. Let's add a vertical layout group, get it in the layout. Hide these. So it would just look like this. Let's get all these synced up in dimensions and locations so they all display in the same spot. Yeah, so this is enough, I would say. I don't really like just having that value string off on the side there. And I also don't necessarily like this text label of value when we have a nice little icon. So let's see if we can add that in. I think that's called. So if we do like, what's the text size? 20. do maybe 30 by 30. I know there's actually a way where we can insert images in TextMesh Pro. Maybe that's the play here. Image in TextMesh Pro text. Because that'd be nice. Rich text tag doesn't work with UI text. Only works with the old TextMesh component. Oh, okay. Use TextMesh Pro. This is from 2015. Okay. Surely it hasn't changed. Alright, basic tags, blah, blah, blah. How do I image? How does one image? Sprite equals 0. Huh. Must be located in the folder specified in the TextMesh Pro settings. So what happens? Is there anything there currently? Sprite equals 0? You know, that could work too. So where is this folder that I need to put things in? Or a name? I could do a name. Comes with a lot of emojis out of the box, I guess. $15 of them? Alright, TextMesh Pro settings. Assets, TextMesh Pro. Oh, it needs to be a sprite sheet. Okay. That's probably better. But you know, we probably do want to set that up. So let's grab this guy. How do we want to do this? Copy this guy. Can we just drop him in here? And then on our value, say name equals him? No? Is it a sprite? It is a sprite. sprite asset name and name. Okay, so this guy needs to be multiple. We'll make sure that he's just... I don't have a sprite editor window or a tool for it. Huh. Interesting. Guess we'll grab that. Maybe it doesn't install by default on 3D projects. Because if we can get this working in TextMesh Pro just as a sprite in text, I think it'll be really nice because we're going to use it in like a lot of UI. Probably dialogue would be nice to use it in. Some other tooltips and stuff. It's nice to be able to just align it with the text instead of trying to position it correctly every time. All right, sprite editor. Slice automatic. Let's do cell count 1 by 1 slice. Cool, apply. You're good to go. You've only got one. So what else do we need to set? 2D UI multiple. Asset create TextMesh Pro sprite asset. TextMesh Pro sprite asset. Okay. We're getting there. Let's name it coins. Huh. Okay, so we have these sprites. Do we need to tell this to use that atlas instead? We do sprite equals 0, sprite equals 15, 16. Okay, still using the original atlas, which is probably the default if you don't pass in a name. So let's give it a name. Coins. ID equals 0. So this is the fallback on the original atlas. Let's try this. So if we do coins, no, okay. I feel like we're supposed to be telling this to use, there we go, different sprite asset. So now, with our different assets set, sprite equals 0. Oh, we done crashed. Generate text mesh. Huh, okay. So when we try and display that guy, we're now crashing Unity a bit. Cool. It's actually what we wanted to do. This is just the texture. Huh. So this is the texture. This is the sprite asset. So something in here is not set. Font asset, glyph, sprite, or metrics. Yeah, it is a very generic error. We want just this guy. It's the important bit. Well, you know, we don't actually have to do this. Would be nice to know how it works, though. So if we put in this sprite asset, oh right, we don't have a proper asset for this. If we make one, assets, create text mesh pro sprite asset. Now we have the same format as our coins one, so we bring that in. try and do sprite equals 1. Doesn't work. Interesting. Is it the same error? Because it might just be how I'm creating. Oh, just no error at all. Okay. Well, that's strange. Oh, this doesn't have any sprites in it. Oh, because we didn't slice this. And also it isn't set to be sliced. Huh. Probably gonna break things, but oh well. So it is sliced correctly, actually. So if I delete this, now that it's set for multiple sprites, if I create Text Mesh Pro sprite asset, this guy now has sprites. So if I use that here, okay, it works as expected. But this guy does not. He's set up the exact same way. So something about that image maybe? So we do sprite 0. Instead of using this atlas, which has mini, index 0, use this atlas, which has many, but it has one at 0. That's when we get our errors. Huh. Yeah, it has to be something to do with how this image is set up. So the difference in settings are, I did turn on read write here, and this guy is higher resolution. Otherwise, they look the same. Well, let's delete this. Now we've got the same resolution and same settings. Let's create a new one. Sprite asset, named coins, Coolio. Let's bring that guy in. Don't know what changed, but it works. Okay, so great. Now we can just, it's not even aligned. The whole point was just to make it easy to align it with the text. Well, at least we know how it works now. Huh. mean, it probably means I should just scale the sprite to the correct height and width. So these are 64 by 64. These are 128 by 128, so that's not necessarily right. It looks like they're scaling down. But there are a lot of settings I can tweak with here. So if I... There we... Well, that's not quite it. So we can scale our width, height, X and Y, but we are within this like weird bounding box. And that box is not centered with the text next to it. Interesting. Okay, the glyph is how we can get out of the box. So if we did something like that, and then could also move it to the right, like that. So now we could write text saying like worth sprite equals 0, 5 gold. I mean, that's nice, I'd say. Definitely worth learning. We'll probably use this. It's just a little weird because we need to have basically our own atlas of all of the sprites that we would put in text. So that atlas would keep changing unless we build them all now, and then we'd have to keep changing the actual reference on all the text mesh pros that use it. But maybe that's fine. So we need a content size fitter on this guy to get him to be the correct height. But other than that, I think we're golden. Maybe that's fine. I feel like that's probably one of my most said phrases. Alright, so we demand a maybe that's fine emote. I don't know. Let me know what you think that emote should look like. We'll get there. The closest we have is probably this guy. Which, actually, never gigantified an emoji before, but I can do it because I'm the big guy here. Maybe that's fine. That's our Fallout golem, but don't tell anyone. Okay, so we did all that setup. Let's go see if we can easily use that sprite in these other blocks. So we would say worth sprite equals 0, 5 gold, but we need to set our coins sprite asset there. Okay, that looks better. So we'd probably want one like for durability as well. I'm almost tempted to just get rid of durability too, because it's not really the most fun mechanic, but it does give us a lot of levers to pull to guide players to do certain things. And we haven't built it in yet, so maybe we'll leave it in for now, but it's on the chopping block. But this does look better, I would say. It's a little weird that it's like different format instead of value :5, but this format's way better than this format, I'd say. I guess I could center this. We can do something like that. Also, this title absolutely isn't centered. Or something's not centered here, right? There's no way that this is centered under this. So does it just look weird because... No way, it's definitely to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it might be centered. It doesn't look centered. There's no way. 1, 2, 3, like 3.5 blocks from the right side of this. 1, 2, 3. I think it is centered. I don't believe it. But, alright. Title case might be throwing you off. Yeah, and I think the W, like... That does look a lot more centered. But the W stretching out like this also makes it look a little bit, like a few pixels off. Like it'd be centered if it were here, it feels like. Alright, it's fine for now. I like this value format more than this like tacked on bottom right type thing. So let's propagate this up here. Delete that guy. We'll say value. Coolio. It's got some good spacing too. I think it's fine. Text looks a little bit lighter than that, but I think it's because it's a little bit bigger. 2016. Yeah, the ... also makes it look so uneven too. We're gonna get rid of that too. So this guy's 16. 16. And let's do the tool. Durability can chill. Value. I feel like maybe all of these don't necessarily need to be the de-emphasized gray. They could be back to white. They could even be like a little yellow. Might be too bright, but oh well. They can deal. So let's change this from yellow to like green maybe. And let's lighten up this purple, I think. I mean, not purple, orange. So this guy. Let's get a nice, like, orange X. That's probably a good one. Yeah, just a little bit lighter. Alright, so this should be good for all of our item types. So let me disable all of these. We'll rig it up with code in a second. But if we have a tool that we're looking at, it's going to look like this. Stats that apply while using it. Maybe it needs a little title too. We'll say while using. While using. While using this tool. There we go. So that's going to be fine. Are these the same height again? Or same size? 16, 16. Yeah, that's fine. We could also take our value and move it down here. Just use the same one for all object types or item types. Put it down here and keep this specific to the type since they all do have value. I think we'll do that. Let's get rid of value on all these guys. It's nice to not have to keep them all in sync too. So this is what a tooltip looks like. I think that's fine. Let's make this. Okay, tool looks fine, good enough. If we're looking at a consumable, it's going to look more like this. Also looks good. We'll need to figure out how we want to do this padding, or if we want to do it. Otherwise it's going to look like this, which I think is also fine. I think it's just a little bit more readable when you kind of have that nice column vibe. But we can do that. For consumables, that was cool. For equipment, says what slot it goes into, says the stats. We could do some sort of like comparison, comparing to the stat of the item you have equipped. So if you had another headpiece that had plus 20 strength on it, we could say like -5 here or something, but I think we don't need it. You can just look and use your eyes. Let's get rid of these durabilities. Cool. And then in the case of a material item, we have nothing. So maybe I feel like it would be nice to have something in there, but we could just get rid of one of these. But we could have something like "42 recipes discovered" or something. I don't know that we want to do that. Nah. So So we'll keep that blank and we'll just disable one of these separators. But we'll leave it as a container for now because we might want to add stuff later. Alrighty, cool. So let's get rid of all this other stuff. We have that stuff can now be deleted. Cool, cool, cool. We're gonna need to get into the code next. It's about time. Rig this all up to populate with data. We don't need that anymore. Metadata bar, weight and durability, we are saying are not fun. All right, we have so many TextMesh Pro errors now, and I'm wondering if it's because of our custom sprite sheet. Maybe we didn't set that up quite correctly, but you know what? Maybe that's fine. All right, let's do some code. It's about gosh darn time. All right, luckily it's easy code. We have one function, and that is to load the item data. We pass in an item that we want to show the tooltip for. We put all the data where it goes. So let's get that rolling through good. See, we're missing some references over here. We'll set those in a second, but I'm just gonna work through the original code. So store the actual shown item in case we need to reference it again. We are going to set name, item type, and description. So let's say common item data across all types. Those references are set, coolio. What we want to do though, I think we want to recolor the item type based on what type it is, just to make it a little easier to see. So let's do a little helper function, public string color for item type. Wait, that's not. Where's our item types? Is it on item? Yeah, top level item types. Alright, so case type dot weapon. Why is that error? Oh, right. Derp. We'll change these colors in a sec, just getting all the types. Cool, so all we do here now is for our item type, we'll say color equals blah plus, what do we call it? Color for item type, item dot item type plus, and then close the tag. So whatever color is set here is what that item type label will be. And it's a little weird that Like, we could do colors of items two different ways. We don't really have rarity of items, though we could. But maybe we'll come back and do like different borders or something. I think differentiating by color, and like also we have this potential for a different background color to make it easy to see different types. So we've got blue, green, gray, purple, red. Do we have 5 types? We do. That could work. So if we do maybe material is gray. What are our colors again? Blue, green, gray, purple, red. Blue, green, gray, purple, red. So let's do red for weapon. Gray for material. Tool, we could do purple because that's kind of the color we've been using for like the alchemy stuff. So now between consumable and equipment, we have blue and green. Maybe we do blue for the equipment, so it kind of pairs with red for weapon, and it's not too far from like purple on tools. And then we do green for consumables that you drink. Okay. So we've done that. We no longer have weight and durability. Let's set our item sprite. And we also want to change the background color, I believe. But let's look at the item sprite border. Is there anything we want to do with that? So what we could do is change this color to like green, blue, purple. Is that too much? It probably is, to be honest. If the background is also changing. Yeah. So let's get a reference to our background. Cool, we'll set those. We can just say switch item type tooltip background.sprite is all correct. Though we probably should have a sprite PG defaults. Cool. So let's set all those references before I forget what they're doing. So tooltip background goes here. Weapon was red. Tool, purple, gray, Consumable was green. Equipment was blue. And for default, we'll use gray again. Okay. Let's get rid of durability and weight labels. Let's get rid of our attributes placeholder label. Because now we have many. And then let's set our value label correctly. We almost there. New value label is this guy. And his text is going to be this. But with the value inserted in. Cool. Let's say per item type stuff. So we'll add more to this in a second. Because now we set our containers. We have public game object, weapon, tool, material, consumable, equipment. So we just activate the one that is relevant, and then we'll set the data in those specifically. Let's set those references. So weapon data container, tool data container, material data container, consumable data container, equipment. Cool. Let's move all this junk to a function. Because we're not going to use it for all of them. Alrighty, so all that we have left is for each of these containers that have custom data in them, like the affixes blocks. We need to set that. Realizing we didn't do anything for weapon, so what I'm going to do is just copy over tool, do the same thing. Because we can generate weapons right now. We just don't have like a purpose for them. So I was going to leave it as a placeholder, but we should just Alright. Vertical layout group, blah, blah. Alright, so now weapon will work as well. So what we can do, we could set references for all the stuff inside, but maybe we just do weapon data container transform.find affixes block dot get component text mesh pro dot text equals formatted attributes for item. So a little clunky, but since we're not doing it like every frame, we're just doing it when we first load that item, or first load the tooltip. I think it's fine to do. And we'll just do the same for everything that needs it. So this will be tool data container. They're all named affixes block. Material doesn't get one. Consumable does, but we do need to format it a little bit differently. So maybe we'll have different format there. This is consumable data container and equipment. So now they'll all have the affixes formatted the same way. Material won't. We do want to have a color game object extra separator parent. So when we show a material, we'll disable that second separator because we don't have any actual content to show that it would be sandwiching. So disable that. Other than that, all we should do is if effect.duration is greater than that, wait, duration in seconds, do that, and let's get our coloring that we liked in. But other than that, it should just work. We'll try it in a minute, but I think it'll magically just work. So this is our color for affixes. So we're gonna do that plus everything that we're already doing. And our color for durations is in the consumable affixes block. Oh right, we didn't do the padding for this, but that's fine for now. Be nice to just get it done. So we use that color. Cool. Don't think we need bullet points on the affixes anymore, so we'll just add the line and then add a new line. That might add an extra new line after the last element, but we'll see what Unity does with that. Okay. So technically now, like if you had a weapon that did have an effect with a duration, it would also show this duration on the effect. But that seems fine. It's probably better. But it won't show it if they don't have a duration, which they're not going to if they're just equipment or something. But we can make it a little bit nicer and say effect.application type is equal to immediate and unapply later. Okay, so is there anything we're missing? Oh, that's fancy syntax. Never seen that. I like that. Huh. Okay. Don't mind if I do. Alright, I think all that's left is to test it. Make sure we got all our things set. Separator parent is not set. We have everything we need here. Sure hope it works. Let's revert all overrides here. This looks fine. Let's delete it. Close our inventory window. And for the first time in 2.5 hours in stream, we will actually play the game that we're working on. Hope it works. Alright, we've got items in our inventory. Will the tooltip work? You know? Well... Oh, we need to disable some raycast targets. But besides the blinking, materials are looking good. We have a tool. It's looking good, although we need to basically disable the attributes box if there are none on the tool. But it's nice to see that it's purple. Equipment is blue, which is the wrong blue. Oh boy. Yeah, I need to fix the flickering. Am I intentionally not playing music? You know? Uh-oh. Oh, you know what it is? Gotta go reset it in OBS. Y'all have been missing out. Properties. Spotify. And two, about how much longer do you think you'll be streaming? I'll probably stream for, I mean, if this works, probably not too much longer. If it doesn't work, I'll probably fix it. But maybe like 30 minutes more. Yeah, you've been missing out on all this good washed out. I forget that every time I start a stream, I need to go reset the input for Spotify. I just toggle it to something else and then toggle it back to Spotify and then it works. Who knows why. But let's go in. Item tooltip. Good job facing your UI design fears. Thank you, Cozy Biscuit. I am glad that worked. I think I set it up right. I've never been... Was that tips before? Cheers. Appreciated it. Thank you. I'm glad that this UI wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I worked on it probably 2 hours last night and couldn't get any of the design layout things working. And I was working on it for about 2 hours before the stream to try and get it working so I could start the stream and do something else. But you know, sometimes you just gotta face your fears and get it working. And I'm glad it's just about working. But thank you. let's go disable those raycast targets, which I'm sure are somewhere. There's one. The reason we need to disable these is raycasting is what your computer your computer uses to determine what your mouse is hovering over. On the internals, it basically fires a laser from wherever your mouse is on the screen straight into the screen, and whatever UI component or window or whatever that laser hits first is what your computer says that you are hovering over. So if you have multiple things that can be raycast targets and you're hovering over one, the top one is the only one that you're actually hovering over. The bottom one doesn't get the target. So when we show this tooltip, what's happening is we hover over an item which has a raycast target. That triggers this tooltip to show, and if the tooltip shows in front of it and has a raycast target on it, then the laser that's fired now hits the tooltip, and the computer's like, oh, you're not hovering over the item anymore. So we need to disable all those raycasts on the tooltip so the computer knows that laser can pass through the tooltip and hit the item just fine. Raycast target. Raycast target. And this should fix the flickering. And I think the only one that we technically needed to disable was the frame, which I think had it on, because that is, I mean, that's where our mouse is, because it positions a tooltip to your mouse. But we just want to disable them all, just make things simple. Let's make sure that that flickering is fixed. We still need to do a little bit of work if like an item doesn't have any affixes to show. But other than that, I want to look at these other items. Alright, flickering is gone. Great. We have different colors based on the item type, which is awesome. Consumables have the duration doubled up, so we'll fix that. And so a few display errors, like our set value needs a space, but it's nice to have the different colors, I'd say. It is a little weird. You can kind of see when the tooltip first gets shown, there's a single frame where, I was about to point to my screen, where the image isn't where it should be. It's like center bottom, and then we recompute the layout and stuff and put it where it should be. I don't know how to fix that offhand, but it probably just is like we need to actually compute that layout manually before showing the tooltip. Because it's a little jarring still, especially when you scroll through to have the two images effectively, or two spots for images. But these tooltips look so much better, and it's nice that they expand. So like this is not as tall as this, which has properties on it. We should also, that blue is terrible for the type. We should lighten that up on equipment. But other than that, material, tool, consumable, yeah, equipment's too dark, but things are looking good. All right, let's fix some of these. So, pretty sure light blue is a color for equipment. We can just do that. For, obviously that's not right. For this many seconds, cool. What else did we need? Right. we need to check to see if the item even has any affixes to show. Like this axe doesn't have anything. So we want to if it has affixes, we want to format them and show it and set that active. Otherwise, we want to do what we do with materials where we disable this. So let's do that. We'll say if item, that's pretty much perfect. But if it has any, then we show it, set that active. Otherwise, we'll just disable the extra separator. So we'll do the same on all of these that show affixes. Material we don't. Consumable should always have affixes. I mean, if a consumable generates without affixes, maybe we want to see that there's a problem. So, you know what, we'll do it here anyway, just in case. People want to see that drinking a potion does nothing, they can do that. Alright, and equipment. Okay, anything else to fix? I think on the formatting, all right, we wanted space there, space there. And I think we want this color on the actual like operand, the times of the plus as well. So let's start that up here. And then we'll get the operator, we'll get the value, stat to modify, and then we'll close the color tag. So all that should look good. Let's close, recompile, run it again, and everything should look good. We'll craft a couple items. If all looks good, maybe I'll call it there because it's a nice clean break to the thing we've been doing all stream. Let's check it out. Or maybe we'll fix this flickering. That would be really nice to fix. But our axe is good. Doesn't show that blank section anymore. Everything's looking good. Equipment is cool. I feel like the stats are a little bit small, like small text. But we can always just change the font size, I guess. But things are looking good. Let's try and craft something that has an effect. So, we've got an axe and some ash. Axe doesn't have any effects when you use it, but maybe the crafted axe will. A smoldering axe has effects. Alright, and we got the nice red for a weapon. Okay. And it has +2 harvest speed, which we should be able to see. If we use our fists first for a baseline on how fast this is. feel like maybe our model... Oh, you know what? I haven't hooked it in to specify the new model name yet. So we're using kind of the default on our new API, which I will shamelessly plug in the chat. We just added image generation to our API. It's basically all the infrastructure we've been building in this game for generating images, but now it's part of our API so other people can use it as well. And you can generate images for whatever you want in your games. We support character art, but also item images, skill images. You just specify what you want and it'll style it for you. But I need to go specify that we want item images to get back to our nice item images, but you can use this too. Cool, we're doing about 1 per second. So with +2 harvest speed, we'll see if this is any faster. Should be. I can't remember if we finished implementing this. You know, it looks pretty similar. But you know, I kind of like this new art style, actually. Let's craft some more stuff. See if we can break any of the tooltips. Or I guess break crafting. We might have. We did indeed. Interesting. Okay. Oh. Alright, well, things are breaking. Suddenly crafting started working again. Inferno axe. Okay. I feel like it needs a little bit more spacing on like the affixes. I think they do need a bigger font size too, though. Maybe matching almost the title size. Maybe the item type size. Oh right, we want to make sure equipment looks good. Yeah, we got the new light blue. That looks good. Okay, these tooltips look way better, I'd say. I like that. Now let's go make this font size a little bit bigger. We are in polishing mode now, so just get things looking real good. We have 2 game windows. Interesting. Maybe that explains why this game window has been so funky the last few days. Let's enable that so we can see how things are looking. Go into the item tooltip. So our title is 34. Type is 20. I feel like we want to do like, is 24 too big? Title's 34. We could probably go up to like 28, 26. I think that's better compared to, oh yeah, way better. Oh right, we don't specify what slot equipment goes into, but we also aren't calculating that yet, so we'll come back to that. Should be a pretty easy text swap. And I think what we want to do is give each of these a little bit more padding on the top and bottom. So maybe we go up to like 16 and 16. Just so it doesn't feel so cramped, I think. And we could even do a little bit more padding on this guy too. Alright, things are looking good. I want to go in, I want to see if everything still looks good, but I want to try and fix this flickering. And I'm going to just quickly maybe ask our Discord sages if they know what it might be, since it's usually a quick fix. I feel like we're just going to need to recompute the layout or something. Let's get some code to throw at it. Let's see. I've got a bunch of layout group components nested item tooltip, and it looks like there's one frame when the tooltip first shows that it has the layout incorrect. The image is somewhere else. And then it immediately jumps to where everything should be in the layout. This is a bit jarring. How should I fix it? We'll see if it works. While that thinks, we can let's jump in, take another look at the inventory window. I wonder if we broke the equipment screen last week. Wonder what that error was. Oh right, and I need to disable the hover tooltip. Rip. Alright, disable that. Disable this. I'm sure there's an answer already, so let's see what we got. Force the layout update, that's probably what we need to do. Could do it for the full canvas. Let's just do this. This would force all canvases to update, so we really need to do just the one. Alright, so in our load, which should happen before we enable it, let's go double check. Show item tooltip on hover. Yep. So we could have it disabled by default and enable it manually here, but I want to see if this is enough to have it force build. Transform to rect transform. This is a, rect. How do we get our rect transform? This get component rect transform. Sure. Let's see if that fixes it. think it actually worked. There's no flickering here. Nice. Well, there's a little bit of... Well, is there? I feel like there's a little bit of flickering. You can kind of see it in the affixes where they start a little bit lower and jump up. I'm realizing that we don't have that second separator. Oh, you know what it is? We have that tool section still enabled on the tooltip, I bet. Yeah. Alright, once more. Surely this will work out just great. But these tooltips look way better. Very happy with how they turned out. Alright, no jitteriness at all. Great. We could probably even... We've got a few pixels between cells in the inventory. We could probably decrease that, because there's sometimes a little bit of a pause between items. But everything seems to be looking good. If we craft something new, probably also looks great. Probably. And I like the new font size on the effects. I think it's a lot better. We still need to get like an actual font for all these, but... Oh. Well, that ain't good. So we got our item, effects null. Were we trying to generate effects for it? I think so. So if we go props in items, generate item attributes, we want to make sure always respond with a valid JSON object and don't wrap it with JSON formatting. Cool, and then let's also make sure that we're using GPT-4, not 3.5, which is a little bit rough on... Okay, yeah, we are. Rough on getting the JSON format correct. Alright, so there we go. Let's look at it once more. Let's craft something. Hopefully we don't get that same bug. We tweaked the prompt a little bit, but it's looking good. It's not really a lot more that I wanted to do on item tooltips today. So if we craft maybe axe and bamboo, guess we'll get real big while we do this. We've got a bamboo axe, more yield while harvesting. Cool, cool, cool. Can't remember if we implemented that either, but I guess that's pretty easy to see too. Let's take an axe to a campfire. I feel like I'm smaller than I started. And we're only getting one. Oh, right. We didn't implement this yet. That's fine. Let's see. Looks good. I mean, we could do some like animations on the tooltip when it opens or when it closes, or we could do some sort of like polish where sometimes up here If you have a really tall tooltip, it's going to get cut up off on the side, or maybe there might be other places where you could drag an item. Where you could drag an item and it basically needs to get pushed by the edges of the screen so it doesn't go off the edge of the screen. But I think things are fine here. Here's a good example of that. Like, we have it positioned to anchor to where your cursor is from its bottom left corner. But in cases like this, you'd want the edge of the screen to push it down. But it's an interesting igniting fruit. Gives you fire resistant and belt size. The affixes that it generates are getting a little bit better as we code more in, because we have it kind of prefer to add affixes to everything, but not everything has relevant affixes. So sometimes you just get some funny side effects too. And if we eat that, I guess. We now have tons of stuff on our belt. And realizing we have a bug there where we are redrawing the belt, but apparently not redrawing the items in the belt. Like, they still work because tooltips work and you can drink the potions, but Alright, well, things are looking good. We got bugs galore, a lot of the stuff to fix, but you know, I'm very happy with these tooltips, minus the floating one that refuses to go away because we hovered over something when our tool belt got destroyed and it never hit the on destroy thing to clear the tool belt. Yeah, I think we're good. Thanks for joining in my stream this week. I don't think we're gonna raid anybody this week. It's looking so legit. Yeah, let me restart it once more so we don't have all those bugs plaguing us. But these tooltips look so much better. If you go over to our, I guess my screenshot dump channel isn't necessarily public, but the tooltip looked very placeholdery last time. This was our inventory, also very basic. I'll show you the new inventory in a second, but you know, it's just plain, it's basic, it worked, but hadn't really taken the time to make things look nice. All the item types looked the same. Crafting was also a little bit bland. But now, I mean, it's not a huge difference in the inventory window, but instead of this bland bit, we got a lot more decor. I feel like the crafting area is a lot prettier, a lot nicer. These tooltips, though, I think really sell it. I think the different colors for different item types are really cool. And they have a nice base for if we add new systems later. It's pretty easy to add new blocks to the tooltip because they just expand as needed. So I think it's looking pretty cool. If you guys are interested in this game, it is on Steam, ready for you to wishlist it. Let me drop that link in chat for anybody watching this now or later. You can go wishlist it, and you'll be notified when it comes out. We got a lot to do, but we'll have a demo up soon, hopefully. And yeah, check it out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will be back next week, 2 p.m. or not 2 p.m. Tuesday at the same time, 1 p.m. Pacific time. And shout out to the Cozy Biscuit, who is streaming later today. I'll be in her stream. Let me see if I yeah, there we go. I'll be there. You guys should be there. Everybody here is cool. You're all cool. And that's really all I got. Thanks, guys.